Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video focuses on the new Pan-Asian Tier 9 battleship Taihang. Now Taihang is based on a battleship of the A140-J3 design, developed in Japan in the mid-1930s. The ship is named in honor after the mountain range in north-central China. Now this is a paper ship. It's stated in the dev blog that after World War II, this ship could have been transferred to the USSR and modernized, after which in the early 1950s it would have been transferred to the People's Republic of China. So very much a paper ship. In terms of playstyle, for captains familiar with Slava, Taihang will come close in concept. She's been described as having only mediocre close-range accuracy compared to other battleships of her tier, and her unique dispersion pattern means that her shells will stay tightly grouped as the range increases. Now additionally, high armor-piercing shell damage and penetration will ensure that when her shells connect, these are going to hurt. In close combat, Taihang also has an additional trick up her sleeve. She gets 2 quadruple deepwater torpedo launchers, one mounted on each side of her aft section. That will give her an additional bit of brawling punch. Other noticeable standouts include low turret traverse, relatively weak armor and slow speed, and additionally a relatively weak anti-aircraft setup, which will make her feel quite vulnerable when traveling without the protection of friendly cruisers. So ideally, Taihang is set up to perform best as a second-line sniper, utilizing her impressive shell ballistics and accuracy at range to punish unsuspecting enemies, ideally at a range over 16 kilometers. Now I will say, Taihang is in testing and subject to balancing changes throughout the testing process, but this is the current setup of the Taihang. So starting this preview as usual, we will start with the armor layout. Now using the armor viewer here in port, we can see fore end plating 32mm upper and lower, deck armor 32, the auxiliary room armor plating is 32, aft end plating all 32mm. There is, however, a nice aft-end armor belt of 229 and 191. The superstructure armor is 19mm. The gun turrets, frontal plate 495, side 230, 270 on the top. The barbette armor is 360, and the rear plating is 410mm. Now if we take a look at the belt armor, it's 356, and if we look at the cell itself, we can see it is slightly raised above the waterline. Is an element of deck sloping here, but only very small, 115mm on the citadel armor. Deck is 51, central area of 32, and this area under the turrets also 51mm. The Warships is 203 and 102 and 76. 254, 152 and 76. There is an element, this top section is 380mm. Now this ties into the ship's survivability, 80,700 hit points, and a torpedo protection damage reduction of 37%. Now this is further reinforced by having 5 repair parties with this build. This is just the current setup of ship upgrades I'm using. Here are the captain skills. So I am using brisk and survivability. So 5 repair parties with this build, but this is very limited consumables. You get damage gone and repair party. In terms of main artillery, These are the meat and bones of any battleship. 4 twin-mounted 406mm guns. They have a reload time of 26.4 seconds. They can rotate 180 degrees in 64.7 seconds. So quite slow turret traverse. Max dispersion is 206 meters and the max firing range is 21.7 kilometers. Now again, as I already mentioned in the intro, they have a unique dispersion pattern that increases the further away you are from the target. So ideally, outside of that 16 kilometer range to max range, you're going to benefit by enhanced dispersion. And I must say, these guns can pack a fearsome punch just looking at the damage numbers. The high explosive, max damage of 5800, 40% fire chance. They can pen 68mm of armor and have a shell speed of 830 meters per second. The armor piercing has a max damage of 12,100 and a shell speed of 830 meters. Despite being a long-range sniper battleship, Taihang does get access to secondary battery. 16 of these 100mm guns housed in 8 twin-mounted turrets. They have quite a decent reload of 3.8 seconds, a base firing range of 7.3 kilometers, firing high explosive shells. They can inflict a max damage of 1400 with a fire chance of 6%. They can pen 17mm of armor and have a shell speed of 895 meters per second. This is augmented by having 3 of the triple mounted 152mm guns. These have a slower reload time of 8 seconds, same range 7.3 kilometers, firing high explosive, 2200 max damage with a 12% fire chance. They can pen 25mm of armor and have a shell speed of 823 meters per second. Taihang's offensive armament is augmented by having 2 X4 torpedo tubes here mounted on the stern. So 8 torpedoes in total. These are deepwater torpedoes that can hit every target except destroyers and submarines. They have a max firing range of 10 kilometers with a max damage just under 18,000 damage, 62 knots of speed, and like other deepwater torpedoes, have very good concealment. They can be detected at only 800 meters. So 2 X4 deepwater torpedo launchers. Quite slow reload. The reload is 131 seconds. Taihang also gets access to the depth charge airstrike. 2 available flights with a reload time of 30 seconds. 1 aircraft per attacking flight with an operational range of 10 kilometers, dropping 2 bombs with a max bomb damage of 4,200. In terms of AA defense, Taihang gets 18 of these twin-mounted 25mm guns, so 36 of these 25mm in total. Additional 12 quad-mounted 25s, so 48 of these 25mm. 12 quad-mounted 37mm, and the secondary battery 100mm guns are dual purpose. So 8 twin-mounted 100mm, doubling up as AA guns. Now they pump out a continuous average damage of 361. You can see the values are primarily short and mid-range. Taihang can fire 6 shell explosions per flak salvo. Action zone 3.5 to 5.8 kilometers in range. These have a max damage of 1400. Priority sector reinforcement is 35%. and the max firing range of these guns is 5.8 kilometers. In terms of maneuverability, Taihang gets a base speed of 28.2 knots. You can increase this to 29.6, and I am running with brisk for an additional 10% when operating from concealment. So the turning circle radius is 880 meters and the rudder shift time is 17.1 seconds. So finally, stats wise, concealment rating of 43 with a full stealth build. You will be surface detected by enemy ships at 13.7 kilometers and by enemy submarines and aircraft at 10.5 kilometers. So this is the Taihang, the Pan-Asian Tier 9 premium battleship that is currently in testing. So I hope you enjoyed this quick little preview guide. Now I must reiterate, this is in testing and subject to balancing changes throughout the testing process, so keep that in mind. But this is the current setup of the Taihang. If you'd like to see some live gameplay, feel free to come over and visit me on Twitch. You can see the link here on screen. Make sure to check out my short video section. I'm updating this daily with famous historical naval stories, and my community section also, so make sure to check it out. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it, guys.